Hello everyone, in this video we're going to set up Sass in WordPress. So we'll be able to use Sass to develop WordPress themes, and we're also, after we set it up manually with Sass, we're going to use Webpack to make things a little bit more streamlined. So let's go ahead and get started. The first step is to make sure that you have Astra, like a localhost environment set up. So I'm using WAMP, and then a basic website set up, and I have the Astra theme installed, and we're going to build an Astra child theme off of it. And so that's where we'll start. So get this set up, and I will see you in a moment. So what you'll want to do first is go to your themes folder, and we're going to create an Astra child theme. So new folder, Astra-child, and then we're going to open this in our code editor. So open with code, and then the next thing we'll do is set up the child theme. So a child theme typically only needs a style.css file, so style.css. And I'm going to try to go quick because I tried to do this and it was like 37 minutes long. So I'm going to try to keep it brief, but also descriptive. So theme name, Astra child, author, John Curry, or whatever your name is, author URI, HTTPS, truthseekers.io, and then text domain, Astra-child, template Astra. Should be good. And then the next thing is we'll set up our background color. So I'm going to say body, background color, and aqua important. So we'll save that, and then we need to make sure that our styles are getting applied. So currently, if we go to our website, it's not going to work. So if I copy this and open up the website, it's not going to show the background color. So let's set that up. I need to make this wider. Okay, so you can do that in the header and like the head tag manually, but the better way to do it is to use the functions.php file. So we're going to do that. So functions.php, and then in here, we're going to create a function, and then we'll call it child enqueue styles, and we're going to say WP enqueue style. And so this is basically just going to, well, let's just write it out first. So Astra-child theme CSS, and then get style sheet directory URI, and the path to this file is going to be, I believe it's, well, style.css for now. And then this is going to depend on the parent theme styles. So Astra theme CSS, and then null for the version and all for the media. Okay, so we have this function set up, and then now we need to add it to WP enqueue scripts. So child enqueue styles, and then a priority of 15. So long story short, we're creating this function here, and this is going to load the style.css file here, and it's going to, well, so this here totals out to be the path of the style sheet, and then here's the unique handler for it. And so then this function gets called when the WP enqueue scripts is run. And so this is like a WordPress built in. We're just saying call this function when it's time to load or enqueue the scripts. So we'll save that, and then now hopefully this will work. So let's refresh. Okay, well, let's try it. Control F5. Okay, I think I messed up. Oh, you know what? I actually forgot to activate the child theme. So we have the child theme, but let's go check out our admin area. If we refresh, we have this Astra child. So we'll hit activate. Now let's go back, hit refresh. Okay, and so we have our aqua color. And then also we have this slash. I did that off screen, I think, maybe, I don't know, but make sure you have that there. And we're good to go for the styles. So the next step is to get it working with Sass. So how do we do that? Well, basically you just need to, we can do it manually first. So that's what we're going to do actually. So if you come over here to the Sass web page, it will tell you there's multiple ways to install it. So we need to have Sass globally installed on your computer. So what you want to do is head over to Node, make sure that you, in your terminal, you can run node-v and npm-v. And I think that's it. So if you can do that, then you have Node installed and you're ready to go. But if it gives you some kind of error, then you need to go head over to node.js website and install it. So once you have that installed, then we can install Sass. So you'll type this into your command prompt. You'll install Sass globally on your computer. That way we can use it. So once you have that done, I'm not going to hit enter because it's already installed, so there's no point. But once you have that installed, we can just basically run it, and it will, we just have to run this watch command thing, and that will convert our SESS files into the CSS files. So we're inside of our, okay, so I'm in themes right now. So I need to be in the Astra child theme. Oops, not Astra, but Astra child. So this is the theme that we're currently working on. So if I do ls, we can see our functions on our styles file. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a style.sess. So inside of our code editor, we're going to create style.sess, and then we're going to say something like body background color, let's do purple. Save. Okay, so now we just need to watch this file and then convert it into a regular CSS. And so from the same folder here in our command line, all we have to do is run sass --watch and then the file that we want to watch. And so this is going to be the SESS file. So we're currently in the same directory, so I believe we can just do ./style.scss, and then the second parameter is the file that it's going to spit out. So this is going to spit out a regular CSS file, and we can make a path too. So I'm just going to say hippo.css. So I'm going to say enter, and Sass is going to run, and it's going to turn the style.sess into a hippo.css file, but it's going to do all the conversions and everything for us. So here we go. We can see that we have our hippo.css, and we can see that it's purple. And so we can also use variables and stuff. So let's say new file, colors.css, and we can define variables and then import them. So I'm going to say primary is equal to 00ff00, and then we'll save that, and then we'll head back to our styles, and then we're just going to import the variable file or the colors. So we'll do something like @import colors, and you notice that we don't have the underscore and we don't have the .sess. So just import @colors, and it is the correct path already. So we can then swap out this purple for our primary color. So primary. And then also don't forget the important, because it's not going to change unless we have important, because we have to override the parent theme. So now if we save this and we look at our hippo, we have 00ff00, which is defined as in this variable, which is then used in style.sess. So SESS is working. And again, we're basically just taking the SESS file and then converting it to, a regular old CSS file, and then we're naming it hippo.css. So now we can do, all of our updates, very easily. So save, and now we're good to go. So what we need to do is we need to update the functions.php to now take hippo.css. So we'll save it. And then now if we refresh this page, it's going to be green, because that is what our SESS file does. So we're technically using sass, and we're all good to go. The next thing we want to do is set up the Webpack, and that will help us streamline things as we get more complicated, because when you get into unit testing and other JavaScript things, you don't want to have 5 terminal windows open, all running separate commands. You can just have Webpack do all of that for you. So we're going to set up Webpack. But before we do that, we're also going to set up Bootstrap, and we want to make sure that the header is working. So Bootstrap has some JavaScript. So go ahead and go to the website Bootstrap. I'm currently using Bootstrap version 5. And so if you go to getbootstrap.com/docs/5.0/components/navbar, or just typing navbar bootstrap 5, and then copy and paste this first chunk of code into a header.php file. So new file, header.php, and then we have to set up a few things here. So I'm just going to do HTML:5 to get this little shell here. And then inside the head, we need WP_head to get all of the scripts and styles that WordPress provides that needs to go in the head. And then inside of our body, we should just be able to paste that navbar here. So we're going to save it. And then if we check out our page now, it's not going to work because we don't have Bootstrap installed. So we're going to work on that towards the end, but we'll save that for very soon. Okay, so let's get Webpack running. Before we do that though, let's clean things up a little bit. So the first thing is we'll shut off Sass, the manual Sass setup, the Sass watch thing. So we're going to close that out, or Control C, so it's not running anymore. And then we'll delete we're going to keep the hippo.css so we don't break things, but we can delete this css.map. And then we can delete, well, I guess we can keep it. So, okay, so now we need to install Webpack. And so we're going to start installing some packages into our theme, our child theme. So we need to create a package.json file. So we can do npm init-y in the terminal to create a package.json file in the current directory, which is our theme, our child theme that we're working on. So inside of here, we have our list of packages, and we don't have any yet. So let's install Webpack. So we can do npm install Webpack and Webpack-CLI. So that created those. I don't know why they're not showing up. Okay, there they are. Oh yeah, it had to install. So we have Webpack and Webpack CLI, and we also have this ginormous node modules file or folder. So we want to make a .gitignore to ignore the node modules if you're using Git to manage your folder or your project. So we've got that, and then now we can set up our webpack.config. So we're going to do that with creating a webpack.config.js file. And basically a super quick rundown of what Webpack is. It basically just takes stuff that it looks for, and you define what it looks for, and then it spits it out into a converted or a bundled format or whatever format that you set up. So in our case, we want to take a .scss file and convert it to a CSS file. And so you can also do stuff like minify the code or whatever. So there's lots of benefits of using Webpack. So we're going to just go ahead and get started. And what I'd recommend doing is there's another video that I'll make here, and I'll link to it for a more detailed explanation of how Webpack works and how we got to this point. But in order to keep this video decently short, I'm just going to go straight into what we need to get what we need to do for this project. So what we need to do is we need to spit out a .css file into a dist folder, and then we also need to spit out a JavaScript file that has all of the Bootstrap functions from JavaScript. So, and then we need to import those into our WordPress project. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to say module.exports equals, and then we're going to say watch : true. And so this basically allows you to watch these files for changes, and anytime it changes, Webpack reruns and recompiles and spits out new versions into the dist folder. So we don't have to rerun it every time we make a change. And then the entry is going to be what all of the files that Webpack is going to watch and like use. So there's multiple ways to do this. This is currently an object, but you can also just have a single entry file. So like src/index.js. So it would only watch this src/index.js file. But we don't want that. We want to have, I personally like to have multiple files that it can watch, or, that way it's just more flexible. So what we're going to do is we're going to say app : and then we're going to have an array of files that I can watch. And so what this is this is named files. I'll actually just get to that in a moment. So we're going to have an array, and we're going to look for an src/app.scss file. So what we need to do is we need to create this src/app.scss. So here we're going to make a new folder, src, and then we're going to watch for the app.scss. And so I'm going to move this style into the src, and I'm going to rename it app.scss. And so by default, it's going to spit it out into the dist folder, but we're not quite there yet. So we have the file that we're looking for. So I'm going to hit comma because we're done with that. And then the next thing is we need a plugin. So we're going to say plugins. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm going to make a separate video for step-by-step how we got to this. And if you want to check that out, please be sure to subscribe to the channel for one, and then also check out the Webpack video where we go more in depth on Webpack. So plugins, and we're going to need a plugin, a Webpack plugin. And so this one's going to be called Mini CSS Extract Plugin. And then it's going to take in an object. And so we're going to use file name, colon, and then a string to help us name the CSS file. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this array kind of format, and we're going to say name and then .css. And so what this name thing does with this array kind of format is it basically takes whatever name, you can have named files. So in this case, this is named app. And so if we were to do something like hippo, yo-yo.src/yo-yo.scss, then this yo-yo.scss file has a name of hippo. So hippo will take the place of this. So it's going to end, so we'll end up having two CSS files, app.css and hippo.css, based off of app and yo-yo. So these are going to be outputted into the dist folder. And so well, by default, the dist folder. And so anytime you see this, just think of these named, because this doesn't just work for CSS, but it works for JavaScript and other things as well, depending on, what part of Webpack you're working on at the time. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to comment that out. And we have this plugins section done. So now we can move on. So I'm going to go down to module now, and we're going to define our rules. So we're going to say rules, and we're going to have an array of rules. And so we're going to use a regular expression to find our .sess files. So we can say test, and then here's our regular expression. And then we can say use, and then we can do the following. So basically what's happening is when we find something that matches this test, then we call the loaders in this use array. So these loaders are going to do, whatever they do to the files that match this specific case. And so our goal is to get CSS files into the dist folder, so we can use those CSS files in our project. And so we need to use mini CSS extract plugin, and we add this .loader at the end of it, but we can't export CSS until we have actual CSS files. And so the CSS loader is what helps us with that. So CSS-loader is going to be used first. And then CSS loader can't handle sass files, so we need to have a sass loader for that. So we're going to call sass-loader. So basically this is like loader chaining, I think they call it. So we start out with the sass file, because right here, SESS, so we need to convert the sass to CSS, and then the CSS can finally, allow the mini CSS to extract plugin to generate a CSS file. So it's kind of like loading. Think of it as like a factory. So step one, Sass takes care of it, then it passes it to CSS loader, which passes it to mini CSS extract, which finally spits out a CSS file. So hopefully that makes sense. But that's pretty much what we have to do. And then we also have to import this mini CSS extract plugin. So up here at the top, I'm going to say const mini CSS extract plugin equals require mini -css extract plugin. And then we're going to save that. And let's give it a try. So we also need to install a bunch of these things. So I'm going to say npm install css-loader mini -css extract plugin sass and sass-loader. I think that might be all of them. Okay, and then in order to run Webpack, we need to run npx Webpack. That should work. I believe it's that. Or you can set it up in the script. So you'll also need to have npx installed, and I'll let you figure that out on your own. Otherwise, this video is going to get super long. So instead of that, we're going to just set up our package.json to have a dev command. So I'm going to add a comma after this test. We're going to call make dev, and we're going to say Webpack. So when I call npm run dev, it's going to call Webpack. And because our Webpack is set up here to have watch, it's going to watch for changes on src/app.scss. So save the package.json and then run npm run dev. And I think we're going to have an error or not. Okay, because I'm importing colors. So let me move colors into src as well. Okay, so now let's check out app.css. And so we get it, and it is set to lime. So let's go back to our colors file, and let's change it to red. So red, save. Let's take a look at app.css, and it's red. So that's awesome. So now we need to use this app.css from our dist folder in our functions. So we can get rid of this hippo file, delete, and then in our functions, we'll say dist/app.css. So we'll save. And then if I refresh, we have a red background. So the code is all working. So we're good. And you'll notice that we have an unnecessary app.js file. If you want to get rid of those, then I'll let you figure that out on your own. But there's a plugin that you can use called the Remove Files Webpack plugin. So go ahead and Google that and you can figure that out, or check out the Webpack video and I'll probably get into that in that video. But we are going to end up using this app.js. So let's go ahead and import Bootstrap now. So because we're using npm in this project, we might as well install Bootstrap with npm. So let's Control C, and then we're going to say npm install Bootstrap. And that's going to update our package.json and then add Bootstrap to our node modules. So now we can import Bootstrap into our styles file. So we just installed Bootstrap. Let's go to our app.scss, and then we're going to import Bootstrap. So at import /node modules /bootstrap scss/bootstrap. Okay, I think that's correct. So I'm going to save that. And now if I look at my app.css, it's going to eventually change into something crazy. Oh, but I have to also run it again. So npm run dev. Okay. And then boom. So here's all of Bootstrap now. And now if I go back to our theme, we have all this stuff here from when we imported that nav bar. So if I refresh, now I finally get Bootstrap styling. So that's great. But the downside is the JavaScript doesn't work. So you can see this drop-down box thingy. If I click it, it's not going to toggle. So we have to fix that. So we can fix that by basically just adding a JavaScript file to our Webpack. So if we go to webpack.config.js and we add in src/app.js, then we can create this file because now it's looking for this file. So src, new file, app.js, and then inside of this app.js, we're going to import Bootstrap, and that is the JavaScript code. So I'm also going to do a console.log, hey yo, so we can see that this JavaScript file is working. So save that, and now if you look at this file, well, we have to save this first. So once you save webpack.config, this app.js file should turn into a Bootstrap version. Okay, I don't know why it's not changing. Maybe I need to shut off and run npm run dev again. Okay, there we go. So we're good here. We have Bootstrap being imported into this app.js, but we need to enqueue this script into Bootstrap. So again, you could put this in the footer, but the proper way to do it is to enqueue it via the functions.php. So here in our functions.php, just to save time, I'm going to use it in the same function. And what we're going to do is we're going to do wp enqueue script, and then we're going to say some unique handler, and then the path to the script. So get style sheet directory URI dist/app.js, and then Bootstrap relies on jQuery. So here's a dependency that we're going to add, and then I forget what this true is, but it's not terribly important. You can check it out in the docs if you get stuck. But once we save this, then if we refresh, right click and inspect, in our console, we can see our heyo file. So we know that the JavaScript has been loaded. And also, because we have Bootstrap in there, if you click this toggle, it should work. So we are set up with Sass in WordPress, and we have a Bootstrap installed and working fully as well. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to be notified when we release new tutorials. Also, be sure to like the video and leave a comment to let us know what you think. Lastly, check out the link or links in the description. We usually create a blog post to go with the tutorial, and we might have a newsletter or course or something to check out as well. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.